a chunk of red rock ground into powder, was once one of the most valuable things a human could own. Traded across hundreds of kilometers, tens of thousands of years before the first coin. It couldn't be eaten. It couldn't build a hut. So why did people want it so badly? Last time we looked at how ancient humans lived without money. But before there was money, before there was even trade, there had to be something even more basic. Humans deciding, together, that some things simply mattered more than others. Not because those things kept you alive, because of what they meant. So today, how was value actually born? Around 100,000 years ago, in a cave on the coast of South Africa, early humans were grinding a red mineral called ochre into fine powder, mixing it with fat, and storing it like a prized possession. It had no nutritional value. It didn't sharpen a spear. It was used to mark skin, mark bodies, maybe mark belonging to a group. Around the same time, in caves stretching from Africa to the Middle East, people were piercing small seashells and stringing them into necklaces, some of the oldest jewelry ever found. These shells didn't do anything useful either. You couldn't eat them, hunt with them, or build with them. This is the moment value stops being about survival and starts being about meaning. An object became worth having not because of what it did, but because of what it said about identity, about belonging, about status within a group. Here's a pattern anthropologists find in nearly every culture on Earth, ancient and modern. Whatever is hardest to fake becomes what's most valued. A hunter who brought back a rare, dangerous kill wasn't just feeding people, he was proving something that couldn't be faked. Skill, courage, physical ability. A tool shaped through hours of patient, skilled work said something an ordinary rock never could. Rare feathers from birds that lived far away, or stones that only came from distant mountains, were valuable partly because getting them required real effort, real risk, real knowledge. Psychologists call this costly signaling. If anyone could get something instantly, for free, it can't tell you much about the person holding it. But something rare, risky, or difficult to obtain? That's a signal that's very hard to lie about. Our ancestors weren't just collecting pretty objects. They were reading each other's worth through what they carried. But maybe the strangest proof that value isn't really about the object itself comes from the tiny Pacific island of Yap. For centuries, islanders used huge stone discs, some taller than a person, as currency. Many were quarried on a different island entirely and rafted across open ocean at real risk. Here's the strange part. Once a stone arrived, it often never moved again. It just sat wherever it landed, outside a house, along a path. Ownership changed hands constantly through trade, marriage, or debt, but everyone in the community simply remembered who owned which stone. One stone was even famous for sinking to the ocean floor during transport, and the island still counted it as real, spendable wealth, because everyone agreed it existed and knew whose it was. Nobody needed to touch it, move it, or even see it. Its value was entirely a shared agreement, held in memory. Value was never really a property of objects at all. It's a story a group of people agree to believe together. None of this ever really stopped. Gold has almost no practical use for most of us, yet we treat it as precious, partly because it's rare and hard to fake. Diamonds aren't even that geologically rare. Their value was carefully engineered through decades of marketing and supply control. A designer logo, a piece of fine art, even a digital collectible. None of it holds value because of what it does. It holds value because enough people agree it means something. We like to think we've moved far beyond our ancestors. We're still running the exact same 3 rules they invented: meaning, effort, and shared belief. So next time you look at a gold ring, a piece of art, or even a viral sneaker drop, you're not looking at something valuable because of what it does. You're looking at a 100,000-year-old habit of ours, still running quietly in the background. What's something you own that has zero practical use but you'd never sell? Tell me in the comments, genuinely curious what you'll say. If you like taking ordinary things apart to see how they actually work, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one when we find out how the very first coin was actually invented.